So welcome to Hard Surface Shading and Texturing. And this DVD is going to focus on shading and texturing hard surface models. And this can be for photoreal effects work, or animated feature films, or ride films, or video game cinematics. And when I say a hard surface model, I mean stuff like vehicles, props, environments, and even some characters. So stuff like cars, helicopters, a building, a road, a pile of rubble, a spaceship, or a giant robot. And this DVD is also going to focus primarily on how to texture lots of objects. So this isn't going to be about just receiving one or two objects that you have to texture. This is going to be, what do you do when you get some scene that has thousands and thousands of objects and you're being given a week to go in and texture the whole bunch of them. So this is the pipeline that we're going to be discussing. And the pipeline is what I use for every single thing that I go about shading and texturing. And it starts off with getting good reference, and then taking the reference and turning it into visual details, which is a list of the various visual things you see in the materials that make the material look the way it does. Then I split up this list into two parts, what's the shader and what are patterns. Then patterns I split into general and specific patterns. And each one of those are placed on the surface using various placement methods. Then I use different creation methods to make these patterns, whether it be procedural, painted, or photo manipulation. Then I take all the patterns and the shaders and layer them together using some sort of layering method, and end with the final result. So this course is going to be broken into two parts. So part one is theory, and that's where I'm going to go over the pipeline I just showed you in great detail and explain all the various things that I think about and have to consider when I'm going to be shading and texturing a model. And then part two is practice, and that's where I'm going to take a small robot character in a simple environment and I'm going to shade and texture the scene using all the theory that we learned in part one. So a quick word about software independence. So for this DVD, I'm primarily going to be using 3D Studio Max, Photoshop, and the Brazil renderer, with some extra information also about the Scanline renderer and also Mental Ray for Max. But the information in this DVD, especially the pipeline, is exactly the same no matter what piece of software you choose to use. So if I'm using Maya and PRMan, I do exactly the same steps as if I use 3D Studio and Brazil. You know, there is a feature here or there that's better or worse in certain renderers and certain 3D apps, and there's a feature or two missing here and there, but overall it's pretty much the same thing. And so hopefully, even if you're not a 3D Studio or a Brazil user, hopefully you'll still find lots of useful information in this DVD that you can apply to whatever software you choose to use. So this talk is primarily intended for intermediate users, so people who have done the tutorials and have done some shading and texturing but are now looking for some more in-depth information. But I've also made sure that there's some info in here for experts and novices, so hopefully everyone will walk away with something that they find useful. And also, there are some tools that I've written for 3D Studio that I'll mention here and there and show you how to use, and all of that is available on my website, neilblevins.com. Just go to the Solburn scripts area and you should see them all there. And anytime that I mention some other third-party tool, I should mention where you can get those from as well. So that's the preamble, and let's begin.